Hey friends, this is my third video in my Valorant series, and today we're going to be talking about things I wish I knew when I first started playing Valorant. I'm going to be going over three different topics, one being agents' abilities, and how team comp works, the different terminology in the game, and then having patience. I know this is going to be a little bit less engaging regarding we're not going to be shooting any targets, but really more so around the logistics of the game and how everything comes together. I am showing here the different agents, and I think one thing to recommend is just understanding how the different types of agents work. So, not so much how to be able to play all of them, but more so of what they do. So, what does a duelist do? What does a controller do? How does a sentinel work? Etc. And being able to see their abilities in the range or in a customs can definitely help with that. So, let's say I'm playing as a duelist, I want to be able to really get on a site. That's the main objective of a duelist, is getting on a site and making space. This doesn't necessarily mean that they have to get the first kill every round. It doesn't mean that they have to top frag every game, but it's more so of being able to trade and get kills to be able to get control of the site. So I think it's really helpful just to understand. Let's say you want to play controller. Maybe definitely playing that on a customs can help you find where to smoke off angles, maybe even find one ways, and be able to help your team get onto a site. Um, and I guess just a little bit of background of what I have been like, what agents I've been playing. When I first started playing this game, I started off with Brim, but I didn't really like that I had to play back, throw smokes once a team gets into like A main or B main. So I kind of transitioned over into Phoenix and Raze for a good chunk of my early Valorant stages. And then when KJ came out, I played a lot of her. And when Fade came out, I definitely played a lot of her as well. And right now, just because I don't play as much, I've been going back and forth between KJ and Reyna and a little bit of Sage and Omen, just because I'm not very comfortable playing smokes. So playing Omen is definitely a little harder, but it's definitely fun as well. So other than the agent abilities, definitely playing with a team is the main part of this game. It's a 5v5. You don't want to get picked off 1v1 every time you're in a game. So definitely understanding how to push with a team, or waiting versus lurking. But I think that goes in combination with some communication with the team. You can't just go off on a site by yourself when the other team is on the opposite site. And then that means the other team can also kind of see this pattern, and then they'll know that you'll be either going behind them, lurking, or just being in a place that you're not supposed to be. So then they'll know. And that's kind of ruining the point of a lurk. And then the other thing is fast pushing versus split pushing versus playing for picks. So this is a little bit part of this terminology. Like, what do all these things mean? What does defaulting mean? What does playing for picks mean? So there's a lot of different things when you are attacking or defending, right? And I'm sure you'll be able to Google all of the different terms and find what they all mean. But I think a lot of the ones that I find in a lot of games is playing for picks meaning just playing slow and not pushing a site right away, trying to get someone who doesn't have too much patience on the defender team kind of peek out and then you can get that kill, meaning that's the site that you probably want to start pushing with your team. Fast pushing kind of just means once the timer starts, that's when your controllers are going to put smokes up and then you flash with your duelists and then try to get a site as quick as possible. Split pushing, let's say we're on Haven and we want to push C site. Split pushing means having maybe 2 people go through garage and 3 people go C long. There's just so many different strategies and methods of getting to a site. So I think just having the communication with your team is super duper helpful. I know some of you might say, well, a lot of times my teammates super toxic, or they're just not playing with the team, or they're just trolling. And I know that that can really bring down morale for the team. And especially if they're saying toxic things or just being rude, I think the best thing you could do at that point is mute them or report them or do both. And if they're being really, really bad, then you could even go into the all chat and ask the other team to report them as well. I'm still doing my part in having my patience with toxic teammates. Therefore, I normally do play with friends or I stack with friends. Yeah, I get it. This game, it's a shooter game, so I know people will get toxic, but we just gotta have the patience and, do our part in reporting and muting and then, kind of move on to the next game. And so that kind of transitions to my last thing about patience, both in the game and more so like the learning component part of it. This game definitely takes time to learn everything and all the different concepts and terminologies and how agents work and how team comp is. And this is actually my first real FPS game on PC. So I think at least the first year and a half, and even up until now, 2.5 years later, I'm still learning so much more about this game. And I'm not saying that I'm really good, I've never hit Radiant, I'm still at Plat. But it's a fun learning process and a fun thing to do to just take my mind off of random life things and just be able to have fun and enjoy the game. So I think all in all, just having the patience to learn different concepts slowly and not so much just hoping that you'll be Radiant by tomorrow, because obviously that's not realistic. And yeah, so I think another part of the terminology is map callouts. Going into a customs and looking at the map, or even while you're spectating, if you die in a round, you can always look at your mini map where it says the place of the map on the top left. I think that's super helpful. I know every time a new map comes out, it takes me forever to learn callouts. But I think definitely holding the map out when maybe the other team hasn't pushed a site and kind of just getting comfortable with the names is also helpful. Alright, so I wanted to just show the different sounds of the spike. So when we get on a site, we can look at the timer, and it takes 4 seconds to get this plant down. So it's 134, it should be planted at 130. Perfect. And once it's planted, it will take 45 seconds for this thing to explode. So the defenders have 45 seconds. And right now, we're in the first beeping sound. This takes 25 seconds to go. And the next one, even with this animation, this faster sound takes 20 seconds. And then after the 20 seconds, this third sound only takes 10 seconds. And from there, the defenders actually need to do it by that third sound because it takes 7.5 seconds for the bomb to be defused. If not, you just see it, the explosion.
I evaluated their strategy. It's a joke.
So, making sure you're accustomed or are aware of the different beeping sounds and the time it takes to get a plant down and how long it takes to get the defuse, I think that's all useful. And unfortunately, because I don't have another person in this customs with me, I wouldn't be able to show the actual diffuse action. There's two parts of the diffuse. There's also from once it's planted, is someone diffusing it. There's a halfway mark, so the first half of it is a different sound versus the second half of it. But if you just search on YouTube, Valorant spike sound, I think you'll be able to understand what I'm referencing, or if you are just getting more and more practice with the game, you'll also be able to differentiate the sounds. One thing I wanted to cover regarding the patience is, especially once you get the plant down, I see a lot of times where my teammates get impatient and try to end up pushing rafters too far and end up dying where they can't be traded. So I think either communicating with your team that you're going to be pushing a specific part of the map, or getting someone else to push together so you could get the trade. I think if you still have some abilities left, definitely can either smoke off rafters. If the door is broken, smoke that off, or use your alarm bot. And as KJ, I can make sure I have one of the nano swarms there, because that should reach this default spot. And if you're a little bit of a nerd like me, when you hear the tap, that's when you could do a lineup and get them without, them shooting off your ability. You can pop that and then swing off of it just to get info, but not so much engage in the fight. And then when you hear the tap again, that's when you can go ahead and swing. If I have my turret here, I can make sure to leave that there. If it's like a 1v3 situation, I can jump peek if my turret's shot down, or if I know that the turret got shot down from rafters, then I can just again play time. I think many a times a lot of people don't know the sounds of the bomb ticking, so I think that's also a little bit helpful in the case of a 1v3, 1v2 situation, and you're really just trying to not get them to defuse the spike. Sorry for the awkward cut in that last clip. I hope you enjoy this outro of me practicing my patience with this fade and just trolling a little bit as she has to defuse, but I am just kind of baiting these random shots. So hope you enjoy and learn a thing or two in today's video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!